Preserve your people by your cross.
Christ is in our midst. Go ahead and have a seat. We're going to have a brief presentation. Where's Psa Brigid? There she is. So, let me hand off this microphone. Give me a second. If I can do it. Got to reach through the 16 layers of clothes. If you ever feel like you're hot in liturgy, suck it up, buttercup. Come on up here. So this will answer the question of, do you allow women to speak in church?
He goes first.
We're still we might have to turn this down a little bit. So, as I made comment last night, in our parish, a huge percentage of the people in our parish are not from Eastern European, Mid-Eastern ancestry, but rather from the Celtic lands, Western Europe, et cetera, et cetera. And so, lo and behold, there's been an Orthodox presence in the West for a long, long, long time. And there are so many saints. It's amazing how many saints there are. And so today is the feast of St. Brigid of Ireland. And she also was intricately involved in the ministry of St. Patrick as well. And so ironically, is it not, that we have Dcn Patrick and Psa Brigid. And so I've asked them to come and give a brief presentation to you. And so please, have the kids stay quiet. Some people are nervous. And so, away you go. I guess he needs a crutch.
No, I'm not. They're just notes. I don't really need them though. So today we're going to talk about.
Is your microphone on? Okay, good. You're good. You're good.
Maybe I should move it down a little bit.
No.
Up.
Over.
Okay. We're going to talk. I'm going to tell you the story of St. Patrick. So much can be said about this saint that we have just a limited time. So I'm going to only really zone in on one particular thing or two today for the sake of time. But I would encourage you all to go online or go into the library or something and just check out the catalog of St. Patrick's life. He also wrote a book, it's called My Confessions, which is really kind of neat for a saint as old as he is to actually have a written book to go back to look at. So anyways, St. Patrick was born in the late 5th century in Wales. Though some scholars disagree and say he was born in Scotland, most sources say he was born in Wales. To, you would say, middle-class parents. His father was a deacon, and his grandfather was a priest. They say at the age of 16, St. Patrick didn't really take his faith seriously, actually. He grew up at a time when there was still what they call Romano-British presence within the Isles, because the Romans had, they had taken over all of that up to Hadrian's Wall. And so there's still a lot of pagan practices. And he laments in his book, The Confessions, that he was sort of, in a way, felt kind of jealous of his pagan friends because they were out doing revelry and having fun. And he was like the priest's son, and so he was feeling bored. So he thought he would live it up, and so he journeyed out to the coast of the ocean in Wales. Lo and behold, off the coast were the Irish version of Vikings. And they captured him, and they put him in chains, and they brought him back to Ireland. He was there working in the fields as a shepherd. He felt the longing on his heart to reconnect with the Christian God that he had neglected in his youth. And so in the fields, they say he was continuously praying even as he was shepherding the flocks for the Irish. Then he became fluent in Irish. And then he stayed in Ireland for about 6 years, always longing to go back home, but developing a sort of love for the Irish people, even for his slave masters. He woke up one night hearing a voice saying, "Patrick, time." He wakes up, and the voice is, God's telling him, 200 miles, there's a path, walk it and you'll get back home. So he picks up everything, no one tries to stop him, and he just walks 200 miles to the coast of Ireland, and then there's a boat just seemingly waiting for him. He gets in it, takes him back to his home, and his parents are like so overjoyed. He wrote it in his book that his mother said, "I will never let you leave my side again." Like, they were very happy when he got back, right? And so he had completely dedicated himself to learning the Gospels and becoming a priest. That he went over to Western Europe for a while. There he was consecrated a bishop. Then he returned back to Wales. And he thought that he would just stay in Wales and just be a bishop there. But that's not what God had in mind for Patrick. So one night in his sleep, an angel of the Lord appeared to Patrick and had like this big gold bag and dumped out all these letters. It said that on all the letters they were prayers of the different peoples of the earth. And then Patrick said, "Well, which one's mine?" This part always gets me. So the angel says this one. And some accounts of the story say that the golden letter had a clover on it, and it was the Irish. And then when he opened up the scroll, it was the crying prayers of the Irish people asking God for deliverance from the wickedness of paganism and the brutality of the Druids and all the things that had gone on. They wanted God to help them. And so Patrick said, I know what to do. He woke up from his dream, and shortly after, he goes back to Ireland. And so one of the miracles they say is that when he stepped forth onto that island, he banished all snakes from the island. So a lot of people want to be like wishy-washy and say, oh, it's just a metaphor that like it just means that he got rid of paganism. There's no snakes in Ireland to this day, by the way, which is really rare for places in Europe. I mean, you know what I mean? So there's no snakes. So I think when he stepped on that ground, those snakes just vanished. And then I think it also means that he did banish paganism, which in a way is like a serpent. So he did both. Now, the miracle that I really want to zone in for sake of time was something that is amazing, is that you could be named after a saint for a long time and think you know everything about a saint, and then all of a sudden you just learn something you completely had no idea about. And this is the miracle that I'm going to talk about before I hand it over to Brigid. Because it has lots of parallels with the Old Testament story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. So there's a holiday in the pagan calendar called Beltane. And these druids, they wielded a steel sword or bludgeon over the people. And on this holiday, to exercise their authority over the people, to make the people bow before them, right? They would go to this hill in Ireland called the Holy Hill of Tara. It was a high ground. And in pagan religion, the high ground is where they offer sacrifices to the gods. So the rule for this night was only the Druids at this specific place in all of Ireland were allowed to light a fire that night, because all had to bow in reverence to the fire dedicated to whatever spirits and gods and demons that are worshipped on the new year to come. It just so happens that that night is also the night in which the holy fires are lit in Jerusalem for our Easter celebration. So Patrick thought, what better way to show these druids which God is true? So he finds a hill 10 miles away from where the druids are, but he knows, because he's been studying, that this hill is in a direct line with them, that they'll see it. And he figures he'll probably be martyred, but he's okay. He's courageous, he doesn't care, he's ready. So he builds his fire on the hill. The druids have already built their fire, and they're doing their rituals and whatnot. And then they start to see a fire in the distance, and they're like, what? Some peasants lighting a fire. Go kill it. Because the rule was if you lit a fire, it was the death penalty. Because only the druids were allowed to do this. And they notice the fire gets bigger. So Christ starts stoking the flame of St. Patrick's fire. And it's said that, like, have you ever seen, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of Las Vegas, the hotel, the Luxor, the pyramid. You can see it. It's like it's so bright that that's the one hotel no one misses. Yeah. Well, I can imagine that's what St. Patrick's fire was like. And this is the chieftain or the local, king. They didn't really have kings, but the local authority was there with the druids, and they're like, what in the world is this? This fire is greater than our fire. And so St. Patrick demonstrated to the druids that the light of Christ is brighter than any false fire of the pagan gods. And so this challenged their authority. So it said that they got into their chariots, armed with men. They were going to go, they were going to kill whoever that was. And they got there, they saw it was Patrick, and they said, put that fire out. Come down here. And he said, I will not put this fire down. And the fire gets higher. And then the king and the druids, afraid, left. So the next day, Patrick wakes up, and they're back. And they challenge him to what could only be described, if you watch a lot of old movies, they call it sword and sorcery, a wizard battle, so to speak. Not calling St. Patrick a wizard, but this concept actually comes from this, though. So this is where it draws the connection to the story in the Old Testament of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. The Druids challenge him. They say, our gods are bigger than yours and better, and we'll prove it. And St. Patrick says, okay, let's do this. Let's battle it out. Let's see whose God's better. So the Druids start conjuring, doing their black, dark speech, probably that's been looking at old scroll books of ancient spells, and they call fog. All of Ireland gets covered in fog. They call in a lightning storm. They call in a gale force windstorm off the coast and make the whole of the land dark. St. Patrick simply reaches his hands out to the Lord, and he makes the sign of the cross, dispels every single one of those spells that those druids had done. And some of the druids were broken at that time in their mind. They knew that the Christian God was true. Then there was one, it was the high priest of the Druids. He was the last holdout. He said, all right, I will do one more challenge. There are two houses, one on the right, one on the left, close together. Whoever God is truly strong will not let those who are inside perish in this fire that we will start. So Patrick says, okay, I'll go in the house myself if you go in your house. So the Druid says, okay. So they go in. The Druid is thinking he's going to cheat because his house is made with fresh wood. It's wet. So they go into their separate houses. They said that St. Patrick, most likely a deacon with him, was like, you don't have to do this. You already proved that you can get rid of it. He said, no, we just watch. So the Druid gets in his house, St. Patrick gets in his house. They start the fire. St. Patrick's house is completely engulfed in flames. And the Druid's thinking he's about to win. And then God causes his house to get so consumed that it leaves nothing, it destroying the ruin inside. And then they say, Patrick, and he comes out and he's completely unburned from the fire. So that was the miracle that I had never, ever read about. So going a little longer than I thought I could. So I'm going to kick it over to Brigid, but before I do that, I would like to just say, what's interesting about Brigid is that St. Patrick baptized her mother, and it is also said that he baptized her when she was just an infant.
Yes. Yeah, she was born to a pagan dad and a Christian slave mother. And she's known as the Mary of the Gales. And it's really, really interesting because she founded so many monasteries, and she was always so giving to almost to a fault, which kind of irritated her dad. And there's so many really, really cool miracles associated with her. One of my favorites, and this is why it really like resounded to me, was because I remember when I was a little girl, we'd have like a refrigerator full of soda, and like all the kids in the neighborhood would be playing around, and I'd be like, here, have a soda, just giving out all this stuff, and the story of her giving out the butter to all the poor people and stuff. It made me laugh to myself. I'm like, I just get that. I just do that. She was tonsured as an abbess. St. Patrick was her mentor. Plus, they had like this really great friendship, and they were able to do wonderful things. And at one of her monasteries called Kildare, it was actually like Deacon was saying, it was an old, or not old, they took over a pagan site that had the flames, and her flame on the hill of Kildare was dedicated to the goddess Brigid. And when they took over that plot of land, they still kept the fire, but instead of saying, well, this is to the goddess Brigid, it's to remind people the love of Christ and to keep the fire in your heart. And it actually stayed lit for a very long time, and then I guess like in England they decided all monasteries were bad, and so St. Brigid's relics disappeared. They actually went to Portugal, which I thought was really cool. And what was I doing with that? Yeah, so they actually relit the fire back in 1993, and it's still going. So that was really cool. And the Rush Cross is actually, the story of it is very humble, because there was a dying chieftain who lived, and he requested Brigid to come and kind of, give him, like, talk to him, like, kind of like ease his heart, because he's done so many terrible things and whatever. And so she goes, and he's like, tell me about Christ. And so what she does is she takes the rushes off the floor and starts weaving a cross. And as she's weaving the cross, she's telling this dying chieftain about the Holy Cross and the Lord and all that stuff. And he was just moved. Like, he was like, oh my gosh. And so he was baptized before he passed. And that's why we have these. They whoever has them in their home, they're for protection, but it's the Holy Cross, and that's pretty much it. No.
You won't tell them, I'll tell them.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was going to tell her the miracle of that.
Okay.
Thank
you very much. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Oh no.
So I didn't know that Brigid had a St. Brigid cross.
Well, I tried to make him.
So we got her one as well, and it's a neat tradition. Is it hangs over the doorway, and there's a little tradition, little placard in there that you can mount.
Thank
and
you.
and so it's like this cross, this Celtic cross that I have, might look a little different to you. I have an Irish cross at home that you really have to look at it and realize that it's a cross. And but it is a cross, and so the cross wasn't always just a 3-barred cross. There's all kinds of variations on it and stuff. So God bless you. Thank you for doing that. I know you were a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
You turn your microphone off so that
Yes,
when you go over there and start complaining about me cutting you off short, then no.
Thank you.
So we are going to, at this point in time, we have up here, we have an icon of St. Patrick, an icon of St. Brigid. We also have the Celtic cross for you to be able to venerate. And I'm also going to ask Deacon, and where'd she go? Come back up here. We printed up icons for you of St. Brigid. I have only one request. Well, two. So first off, one per family until we know that everybody's gotten one. Secondly is only take one if you're actually going to honor it at home. And the way that you honor it is you put it in a frame and you hang it on the wall or put it in a stand. They've been blessed with holy water. And so we are very happy for you to have one, but please utilize it at home if you're going to take one. If you don't want to do that, just don't take one. And then if there's any left over at the end, we will we'll put them at the front and people can take them at that point in time. So Deacon, come on over here. Over here. And I'm going to take one for me.
Okay.
So we will come and we will venerate the icons, the cross. We will receive an icon. Do we have Endideron over there?
No, we don't.
Okay, did we use it all? Okay, Endideron's gone. And then for young men, if you would help us set up the tables and get ready for our big feast. And hopefully we'll have a good time. What, Kevin, were you going to say something?
Should we announce the bishop?
No, we're going to announce that later. Well, I will say Bishop Andre is coming for a particular evening with the AROY folks. So if you're AROY or want to be involved in AROY, which is basically junior high, high school, young adults, see Kevin, and that'll be on February 12th. See, I made an announcement when I said no. But anyway, so there'll be more information. There'll be information upcoming in your emails regarding the March for Life and several other things that are going to be transpiring as well. So if you would just come over to this side, sweep through, venerate the icons, and receive an icon, and the Lord bless you.